Hey, football fans, welcome back to another episode of Lions Latest, the show where we talk about the greatest team in the NFL, the Detroit Lions. I'm your host, Bryan Hanes, and we have a great list of topics to talk about today, so let's just jump straight into the video. Starting with wide receiver out of Arkansas, third round pick Isaac Tesla. He is a hometown hero, hailing from Hudsonville, Michigan. That's in the west part of Michigan, for y'all who don't know about that. And the Lions traded up to him to grab him in the third round. So let's talk about him. What's different about this guy than all the other receivers that were taken? Well, first, he's 6'4", 214 pounds. He's a big body. In his last 2 years of college at Arkansas, he recorded 62 catches, 896 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Not, shattering stats, but let's go a little more into him to see why he was so highly sought after. He also led the team in contested catches with 0 drops on 64 targets his junior year. It's a pretty good stat. And he came up from a D2 college, Hillsdale College. So moved from a D2 into that D1 college scene. He really showed himself his sophomore year where he really had his breakout, and then kind of moved back into that big scene and was really, really productive for the Razorbacks. The Lions picked him due to his late surge in ratings towards the later parts of the draft process and his fit for the culture in Detroit. His character was quoted by Dan Campbell as being a huge reason why they went with him. We talk about how Dan Campbell and Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes talk about how they pick guys not just based on pure talent alone, but also their character and if they fit the team's, culture. So I'm really glad that we got another guy who fits that culture. He's seen as a big slot wide receiver with a strong blocking ability and contested catch skills, a potential future outside receiver for the team who can go down and get those big third and longs or just honestly goal line fades. We could have another goal line fade guy. Nothing like Calvin Johnson, but it's always good to have a goal line fade guy. And what makes him stand out is ability to run clean routes at his size and then having the speed after the catch to back it up. He's a crazy athletic player. I think that's one thing to note. At his size, you'd think he'd be a tight end, right? No. He's a wide receiver. That's the role he plays. He's super quick, and at the combine, he scored a 9.96 out of 10 on the athleticism grade. Jeez, for a guy that big, moving that quick, that's insane. And he's got the strong hands. He goes up and gets those contested catches. I'm excited about this guy. Something else to note, and I think a big reason why it's cool to have a guy like this on your team, for fans at least, is I only see him going up in the next few years. He has a passion for the Lions. He grew up in Michigan. He's got a quote unquote hate, not really hate, but disliking for the division rivals, right? Doesn't like the Packers, gone out and said he don't like the Packers. He does not like the Bears. And, I'm sure he doesn't like the Vikings either. And he wants to win for the team he grew up cheering, right? Isn't it like every kid's dream, when you're watching football, like, oh, I just want to go play for my team, right? And now he's doing it. He's playing for his team, and I think that gives him even more of a drive to go and be great in this league. And I see him being a maybe flex wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 spot with Tim Patrick. Maybe he doesn't play every game, but we give him some chances to really come in on some third and longs or some third and shorts and see what he can do since he's got those contested catch stats. Maybe he'd be a really great player in the future, and hopefully he does become one, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for rookie Isaac Tesla. Moving to our second topic, we are talking about not the third round, not the second round pick, but the first round pick, Tyreek Williams, defensive tackle. So some fans weren't crazy about this pick, while Mike Green, defensive end, was still on the board at this point. But after looking back on it and seeing what kind of depth we really needed, it wasn't a bad pick at all. Would we like to have a defensive end? I'm sure a lot of fans would have liked to have a defensive end pick in this draft. But Tyreek Williams is no pushover. In his college career, he has 136 total tackles, 28 tackles for loss, and 11 and a half sacks. His specialty being run stopping. A big thing with us is we're really, really good at kind of pass deflection, pressuring the quarterback, but stopping that run, plugging those holes is something that we rely heavily on our linebackers for. And I'm really excited now that we have this defensive tackle who can just throw his arm out and just weigh a dude down like an anchor. That's going to be really exciting to watch. He also recorded 10 pass breakups, so he's also got some pass breakups and a fumble recovery over his college career. His senior year, where he played as a starter for the championship-winning Ohio State Buckeyes, he contributed 46 tackles, including 8 tackles for loss and 2.5 sacks. He was honestly, in their own words, the anchor for Ohio State's top-ranked defense. So I'm excited, right? It's always cool to have a guy like that who knows how to win. He's been on a situation where he can win, and now he's moving to another good situation with a team who is almost there, but was lacking a little bit in defense last year due to some injuries and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see what he can do. He's played 51 games and started 25, earning Big Ten honors, and was a national champion, like I stated. So he's 6'3" and 330 pounds. He's a big boy. He's a big boy. You know, if is that too big for the NFL? I don't necessarily think so. I think he's got the size and some of the technique to go with it as well. We picked him at first round, and again, if he has that kind of culture, that character to fit in with the Detroit Lions, he's got that grit to fit in with the Detroit Lions. I trust Coach Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes. I trust him. If they're going to pick a guy that high, they got to know something we don't. Right? We had the same doubts about Jameer Gibbs. Some things to be cautious about here. He's had some changes in weight over some seasons, fluctuating a little high and low, which can be a huge problem when you're trying to stay consistent in the league. And his lack of energy late in some games have also been kind of an issue. Some motivation problems late in games. However, with an NFL diet and a meal plan and a training schedule, we don't have to worry about anything like that consistently wise. And we shouldn't worry about his energy because he's under Coach Dan Campbell. If Dan Campbell thinks there's an issue with his energy, it will get solved. We watched Hard Knocks, people. Like, come on now. And if it doesn't, then we make moves or we make decisions. But I think once you get into the NFL, having that lack of energy late in games just can't be an issue, right? And I don't think it will be, especially if you're going first round. I think he's excited to be here. I think he's excited to play on a team of this caliber. And with Dan Campbell as your head coach, I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't have that energy. Like I said, I trust Coach. I trust the process, and I'm really excited to see what a guy like Tyreek Williams can do in this league. Hopefully, he does really good, and he's worth the pick over guys like Mike Green. So we're going to move on to our third topic here with that being said, and we're going to be talking about the safeties in Detroit and how they're changing this defense. So we talked about the defensive line and kind of what's going on there, but now let's talk about the secondary a little bit. Starting off with Kirby Joseph, I think he's worth noting absolutely. His extension and performance over the last year and then going into the offseason have been crazy. So he got a 4-year extension that he signed on April 23rd for worth $86 million total, making him the NFL's highest paid safety with averaging $21.5 million a year. So I think he actually deserves it. Like, a lot of people say, oh, it's a lot for a safety, but he put in the work this year. He played in all 17 games last season, racking up 83 total tackles, 58 solo tackles, and led the NFL with 9 interceptions, including one of them being returned for a touchdown. Bang, there's your resume. He's really, really good at the game. He's really good at his sport, or his position rather, and he knows kind of how to read the defenses super well. He defended 12 passes, giving him a 91 overall grade. Woo! That is what I'm talking about, Kirby Joseph. He's first team All-Pro and became the first Lions safety since 1957 with both 9+ interceptions and a pick 6 in the same season. He's making history. He's making modern history right now on a team that is just progressively gone up and up and up and up over the last few years. And now that we got him for the next 4, I can only see him saying, okay, they want me here. Let's go to work now and let's earn my bag. I don't see why he wouldn't. He's a hard-hitting safety. Some people like to say he hits a little too hard. I don't think that's necessarily the case. When you're attacking guys who are 3 times your size, you're going to go low. And he's a great tackler. That's the big thing with a safety is the last line of defense. You need him to be a great tackler. And Kirby Joseph has just shown us over and over again that he's going to make tackles or he's going to make those big reads and turn the ball over in big situations. I think he's a great player. I'm excited we gave him that extension, and hopefully he continues to just go out and be a dog for us. Other safety, on the other hand, Brian Branch is entering his 3rd year into the NFL. He started for 16 out of the 17 games last season, had 109 tackles, 79 of which being solo, and 4 interceptions, tied 10th in the NFL. So not too far behind Kirby Joseph. He had 16 passes defended. He was tied for 5th in the NFL for that. He had a sack coming off the edge as a safety sack. He had a forced fumble, and he was a first Pro Bowl selection after a standout year. And a standout year he had. I was really, really excited to see what he was going to do this season, and he just hasn't disappointed. He's continually been a great player on the field, off the field. We've seen how he works with Kirby Joseph. They're like tandem. Like we see with Jahmyr Gibbs in Montgomery, there's a lot of talk about how great they work together, Sonic and Knuckles, and their synergy is fantastic. But we don't talk a lot about Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. They work really, really well together. They communicate well. They cover a lot of ground, and they work with the corners as well to make sure people got their man. And I think that whole secondary really just has something special going right now. And the safeties, it starts with the safeties. Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph are really good at holding down that back line and keeping it together. Joseph's been on the team for a while now. Branch was drafted. They're Detroit guys. They're Lions. Absolutely, to a T, they are Detroit Lions. So I'm very excited to see what they do. And overall, an improvement from his first year with no signs of slowing down. Branch is a much needed weapon in our secondary. And with, like I said, with Joseph, they make a heck of a team, and they're only going to continue to improve, in my opinion. Really good stuff from the safeties. Now let's talk about our final topic, a cornerback that we got. A little offseason demon. We got cornerback DJ Reid from the New York Jets, which I'm super, super excited about. I saw that pickup and I got a little happy. Like, how could you not, right? He signed with the Detroit Lions on March 10th for a 3-year, $48 million deal with $30.98 million guaranteed and a $15 million signing bonus. It earned an A grade from the ESPN's free agency analysts, and what more can you ask for there? If we got an A grade, that means we got a bang for our buck, and he's a great player. He's going to fit the scheme as well. So let's talk about him real quick. With the Jets last year, he recorded 64 tackles, 52 of which were solo. He had a tackle for loss, one sack, he had a sack, 11 pass deflections. He was tied for 25th in the NFL, and he has an 18% forced incompletion rate, which is top 10% in the NFL. It's pretty good. He's known for his man coverage specialty and his ability to help players around him pre-snap, which, again, having players that make people around you better is one of those qualities that you can't teach. It is just a dog. He's a dog. Especially with our coverage change last year, we saw a lot more man coverage than zone. I'm really excited to see that we got a man coverage specialist here. The Jets weren't necessarily the greatest team in the league last year, so some of those stats could be a lot better put in the right position. And I think since he's kind of in that veteran position now where he's got experience, he knows the league, he knows how quarterbacks want to play, how wide receivers want to play on certain positions and downs. I think he's just going to add that level of expertise to our team. He's going to help Terry and Arnold a bunch. Arnold was coming off his rookie season. He had a fine rookie season, but maybe having that guy who helps you and gives you that kind of advice will be great. And not to say he's pushy at all. He got in his press conference, DJ Reid talked about how he's learning from these guys as well because he's the new kid on the block, right? He's clicking super well with the other corners and safeties. And I think, like I said, they're building something super special in the secondary defense. A much needed piece after Carlton Davis went to the Pats as well. We needed that other cornerback, and I'm really excited to see that we finally have somebody who's going to fit the scheme well, add to what we have in Terry and Arnold with the man coverage specialty. Now we have some man coverage guys, hard-hitting safeties who know how to read the read the offense, and then we got a defensive end and a defensive tackle who are going to get to the quarterback fast. This defense is going to look really, really good next season, and I'm really excited to see what they do. Hopefully we stay healthy, we stay really good and consistent, and we just keep revving up as the season goes. So with that being said, I'm excited to see what we'll do this season. That's all the time we have for today. If you made it to this point in the video, tell me what you're most excited about out of the players we've talked about today. Are you excited for Isaac Tesla's performance? Are you excited to see what Tyreek Williams will do on the defensive line? Or are you excited to see what DJ Reid's going to do in that man coverage position? And do you think he's going to get a whole bunch of interceptions? Let me know. But with that being said, thank you so much for listening to Lions Latest. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. The love is very much appreciated, and you guys have been great in the last few videos. So keep watching here, and you guys have a good rest of your day.